Well, hello again. All right. I hope everybody's all right. Well, no rain and all yesterday, and well, even so good today, really. But yeah, day's Thursday. Time's going on, and just say, stay safe. Keep going as we're going. We'll be all right. All right. Let's hope we won't be such a long winter. Anyhow, take care. That's all I can say, really, all of you. I'm going to do a Liz Armand story here today. This was writing to her nephew and niece about the Christmas pudding. I thought that as this year is drawing to a close, I would leave you all know how we're doing. I can't say how me aches and pains are much improved. Still, at my time of life, what do we expect? The grandchildren to say I ought to take up this thing called yoga. How it would be good for my old back, but when I see them standing on their heads with their legs tied up in knots, I tell them you would have to borrow the quarry crane to hoist me up like that, and you would have to call the undertaker to cut me down. And I reckon I couldn't get none of their leopards and lights that they'd wear to fit me, and I reckon I should look a rare old sight in one of Alfred's singlets and long underpants. My friend Bessie was telling me the other day about some new friends of hers. Haven't long moved down here. Asked her in to have tea, they did. She was full of it, she was. What do you think, Sarah Ann, she said. They haven't got no lino on the floor, but have this here wooden parakeet flooring laid right through the house and got stimulated velvet curtains hung onto the windows. And what's more, when they had their fried fish from the chip shop, they don't use their fingers same as we, but ate with knives and forks, same as if it was meat. I said to Bessie, suppose they'd think that's genteel, but I can tell 'em I've had it on the highest authority. Queen Victoria always ate her fish and chips with her fingers. Mind you, she had John Brown standing next to her with a soap and flannel and a basin of water ready for her to wash her hands and afterwards. Had a rare life the other evening. Alfred lost his teeth. I've been on him for months to have a new plate made, 'cause his teeth to go up and down like yo-yos. I've been afraid he might chuck himself with them. We was going up the concert up Chapel. He shouldn't have gone really, 'cause he had such a stinking cold on him, but he promised to the dear child that he would come and hear her recite, and as we were going up the lane, he took with his sneezes awful, and his teeth flied out clean out of his mouth. As you don't know, there ain't no lights up that lane. All we could do was strike matches until we found them. Alfred wasn't very happy at all that evening. He said teeth didn't taste very nice, a bit gritty. Besides, you don't know who or what had been on the ground where they had lighted. Still, he'd learnt his lesson, and he'd have been to have his expression took, and is having his new four-rail next week. That'll be good in time for him to get used to them for Christmas. He'd be able to chaw the crackling of the rich pork. And talking about Christmas, I'm well underway. The puddings are boiled. We got the copper out last week and boiled them in the yard. I shall never forget, though, the year I mixed up a pudding for my neighbour Ethel. She never done one in her life. Hard to believe, isn't it? But her husband always used to say she'd never had sense enough to boil a pudding. Well, that year, I had a bit of mixture left over, so I shoved it in a basin, tied it up, and took it into them. Now, I said, put this in boiling water, then when it comes back to the boil, turn it down and let it simmer for 8 hours. Then on Christmas Day, all you have to do is warm it right through while you're cooking your dinner. Christmas afternoon, I said to Alfred, think I'll go and see how the pudding went. But when I got next door, what a picture of gloom met me. You would think it was an house of mourning. How was it, I asked. Don't he speak, said Joe. I told she never had sense to boil a pudding. When we turned that there pudding out on the plate and put a knife in it, the innards come rolling out to meet us like lava from Vesuvius. I done what you told me, Aunt Sarah Ann, said Ethel. I put the pudding in boiling water, brought it up to the boil, then turned it off and left it in the saucepan for 8 hours. Then today, when I put the turnip on the boil, I put the pudding on to warm through. I done it right. Oh, I could never have believed anyone could have been so stupid. That pudding couldn't have had but 1 hour's cooking all told. Mind you, our boy James is just as daft. Last year he said to me, "Your Christmas pudding, Aunt, is so rich that you ought to have a ceremony like they do in the posh hotels. Pour brandy over it and carry it in from the kitchen." "Fleming, west of good brandy," said Alfred. I wasn't very keen, but Jem said, "You leave 'em to me." So on Christmas Day, when the pudding time come out, James and the dear child went out in the kitchen. When they come back, it looked a picture. The pudding was flaming handsome, and the dear child walked in front playing "Good Christian Men Rejoice" on a recorder, what she learned to at school. But I can tell ye, when we tasted my rich pudding, there wasn't no rejoicing, and Alfred's language was far from Christian. James had agreed with Alfred, and he reckoned it was a waste of good brandy to set fire to him. So he drunk the brandy and poured methylated spirits round the pudding and set fire to that. We had some job putting out the flames too. I had to open a tin of peaches for our afters, but it wasn't the same. As Alfred said, when your stomach is made up its mind to have Christmas pudding, tinned fruit to go down cold and slippery, and then very satisfying. So this year we shall have the pudding my way, no flames and plenty of cream. I made the cake too. We ate the first one, so I had to make another. The onions are pickled, saffron is bought ready for making the Christmas saffron cake, and meat is ordered from the butcher's, so we're doing very well. Now, don't leave it too long for you to write to us all at home here, 'cause we're always thinking of ye. We to send our loving thoughts to you and hope you'd all find Christmas peace and joy and every blessing in the New Year's. Thank you very much.